the evolution of smartphones. Get ready for a time adventure. We are going back to the year 1992 when the very first smartphone was born. Can you believe it? IBM unveiled this groundbreaking device and it hit the market 2 years later, selling over 50,000 units within just 6 months. It was a big deal, especially since personal cell phones have been around since 1970s. But the smartphone was different. It had the power of the internet and the ability to send and receive emails and faxes. It was a true game changer. But before we dive deeper, let's take a look at where it began. The very first portable mobile device was introduced by Motorola almost 40 years ago. It was called the Dynatac 8000X and it cost nearly $4,000 and weighed over a pound. This is not something that you could slip into your pocket. This phone was more of a status symbol than a functional tool, but it paved way for the modern smartphones we know and love today. Fast forward to the present, and it's hard to imagine a world without mobile gaming. But before 1997, that was the reality. Then, the game Snakebite Finnish engineer Taneli Yamato became available for Nokia 6110 phones and the mobile gaming craze began. Fast forward today, the mobile gaming is $100 billion industry. But back to the smartphone. In the year 2000, the smartphone was connected to an actual 3G network. In other words, a mobile communication standard was built to allow portable electronic devices wireless access to the internet. This upped the end for smartphones, making things like video conferencing and sending large email attachments very possible. However, accessing the internet from your phone came with a price tag. While the price of the device had decreased to $300 to $700 range, the cost of data wasn't worth it for most people. And now, for one of the most influential years for smartphone evolution was 2007. It was the year Steve Jobs and the team at Macworld revealed the very first iPhone. Not only was this the slickest touchscreen device to hit the market to date, but it was also the first device that offered a full unwatered version of the internet. The very first iPhone gave consumers the ability to browse the web just as they would keep on the desktop computer. Sure, there were bumps in the road. We all remember how much easier it was to type on the BlackBerry versus the original one finger at a time iPhone, but it still made a mark on the industry that lasts till this day.
So in comparison of the technology, when you talk about Android and iOS, yeah, that is software. So we are talking about software, the software embedded in those phones. How advanced is it? Okay. Now, we used to have 3 main players in the software market as far as phones were concerned. We used to have Windows, we used to have Android, and then we have iOS. Yes, then BlackBerry was also making its operating system and it was still very famous in the market. Yeah, so that makes it 4. Now, from my experience, speaking from personal experience, my first smartphone was an Android phone, and one of the main challenges I used to find with it was viruses. Exactly, viruses, and I think this is because of the fact that the Android operating system is not as secure as compared to BlackBerry and iOS. Android was more like the Windows, also susceptible to viruses. I think this is because you can plug any Android phone in any computer and be able to transfer your files. Yeah. So, and I can send something from a computer via Bluetooth and an Android person gets it. So that makes it easier or susceptible to viruses. However, what I found with the Android operating system is that it was very user-friendly as compared to the iOS. So when it comes to user-friendliness, or when it comes to someone who is just holding their first smartphone, I strongly look for Android. Because with that Android devices, especially with people at campus, you can easily receive files and send files. You can plug the computer into any internet cafe and you can send files, which is not possible with iOS. iOS only communicates with OS. Yes, so it can communicate with the MacBook, it can communicate with an iMac, it can communicate with the fellow iPhone, but it can't communicate directly with an Android device. So when it comes to the factor of user-friendliness, then Android and Windows, of course, have the edge. But when it comes to the factor of security, how secure is the data in your phone? And that's where BlackBerry OS and iOS comes in. These are two very secure operating systems. To the fact that even FBI can't hack into these systems. Exactly. And there's a time where a terrorist was born with an iPhone and FBI tried to hack it as much as possible. They couldn't. The best they could do was to contact Apple to help them access what was in the phone. Yeah. So when it comes to security, if you're a person who is very security conscious, then iOS and BlackBerry are the smartphone operating systems for you. When it comes to user friendliness, how fast do you want to transfer your files from one place to another? How much do you want to interact with other devices in the community? Then Android is a better operating system. And lastly, when it comes to what we call convenience, when it comes to convenience, or how easy do you learn? How simple? When it comes to simplicity, the most popular opinion that I want to debunk right now is iOS is a hard operating system to learn. That is very wrong. With iOS, it's easier to learn if you're starting from scratch as compared to Android.
iOS you can learn from scratch.
It is easier to learn from scratch how to operate an iPhone as compared to how to operate an Android device. Yes. Please don't confuse these 2 points for user friendliness. Yeah, I said Android is very user friendly. Exactly, but it's not easy to learn how to operate it as compared to the iOS. This is because iOS has fewer operations. Yeah, iOS has fewer operations as compared to an Android device, to an Android operating system. With Android, there are so many tricks, there are so many ways to do certain things. iPhone is limited. There are only a few ways you can do certain things. And guess what that makes it? Let's say I want to make a call. Yeah, I want to make a call. So I have 2 ways I can do that.
Android?
No, on iPhone. On my iPhone, I can either call Siri to make the call. Hey Siri, please call Andrew from Smart24. It can listen to me and do that. Or unlock my device, go to the dialing app and dial the number. However, with Android, there are several ways you can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, there are very many ways you can make a call. First of all, you can attach icons on the lock screen that can help you make a call directly. Yeah, you can use the voice assistant to make a call. You can be on WhatsApp and be able to make a call to someone. So there are so many different ways you can do something that makes it a bit harder, a bit complex as compared to a limited number of ways. Yeah, for example, iPhone only have 2 options, you only have 2 options to learn. With Android, you have 5 options to learn. Which one will be easier for you to learn?
What's the other options?
Exactly. So an iPhone or an iOS operating system is easier to learn from scratch as compared to Android operating system.
So what's next for smartphones? Who knows? But one thing for sure, they've come a long way since 1992 and we can't wait to see what the future holds. Coming to Uganda, smartphones have become ubiquitous in Uganda over the past decade, with significant impact on the country's socio-economic and political landscape. In this program, we explore the ways in which smartphones have changed Uganda and implications for the future.
The evolution of smartphones in Uganda has been quite something that has been interesting. Because if you look at 2007, when the first iPhone was released, and now there's quite a very big difference. Back then in 2007, I think we only had 1 or 2 shops that sell smartphones, and Simba Telecom was one of the pioneers then. It was one of the only shops where you can get a smartphone back then. But if you look at now, it's almost there's an iPhone shop or there's a smartphone shop everywhere. So the evolution has been quite, I can say the curve has been on very steep as far as the usage and the market is concerned. Also, if we also to look at the economy back then, the iPhones weren't as expensive as they are now, because back then the latest iPhone would cost about 800,000 Uganda shillings, and now the latest iPhone costs about 4 million Uganda shillings. Back then, only a few people, only a handful of people could afford that. But right now, even a university student also holds the latest iPhone. So that shows you how much the market in Uganda has embraced and grown with the usage of smartphones.
Well, then now going back to the aspect of smartphones, we talked about the iPhone since you're so specialized in that. According to your observation, what are those brands that you guys so much relate to? Smartphone brands.
Smartphone brands, I think Tecno is one of the most used brands in the country. I think this is because of its affordability and the fact that the Tecno suppliers or the Tecno merchants here are tax exempted. That makes the product very, very affordable for every normal Ugandan. So Tecno is one of the most used brands among the normal Ugandans. However, when I get to what we call the corporate or the middle class, I have seen the middle class of Uganda embrace the iPhone and Samsung phones more than anything else in the country. It is quite surprising that a very big percentage of people are able to afford these phones, given how expensive they are. But I could credit this to the flexible payment plans that are going around. You know, as you who was working on Smart 24, we have a package here that can help you afford a 5 million phone over a period of maybe 1 or 2 years. So that has made the middle class able to afford these iPhones and the Samsungs. However, when we talk about the majority of the people, I think, are into Tecno phones and maybe Infinix.
One significant impact of smartphones in Uganda is the increased access to information. With the rise of mobile data plans and cheap smartphones, many Ugandans now have access to internet and wealth of knowledge that was previously out of reach. This has led to increased literacy, improved access to educational resources, and more informed citizens. Smartphones have also transformed the way Uganda is conducting business. With the growth of mobile money, small business and individuals can now conduct financial transactions and manage their finances without the need of a bank account. This has spurred entrepreneurship and enabled financial inclusion for millions of Ugandans who were previously unbanked. The rise of social media has also had a significant impact on Ugandan society. Social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter and WhatsApp have enabled citizens to connect with each other and express their opinions in a wide range of issues including politics.
I'll begin by a quote from a certain gentleman that says internet is one of the basic needs at the moment. So before 2007, before smartphones evolved, people were only using phones to make calls and receive messages. However, with the evolution of technology, of course it came at a cost in the beginning. Having a phone that could browse the internet was extremely expensive then. However, now we are blessed to have multiple brands that are able to browse the internet. So when you talk about functionality and something for the general population, I think the industry has done quite a good job in making sure that an affordable smartphone that can browse the internet and be able to give access to most of the internet services to each and every individual has grown over the years. Yeah, so when we talk about things like functionality, I think the basic use of a smartphone is to be able to browse the internet, and most phones can ably do that. So for the general population, it is quite a blessing now that you can get a phone as cheap as 150,000 that can have your WhatsApp, that can have your TikTok, that can have you search for anything on the internet, that can have you do all those things. Yeah, so we are blessed that it has become more affordable to each and everyone, and we are blessed that it is easily accessible. The other day I was Mitiana. I work in Mitiana most of the time, and I see shops selling smartphones. I see shops selling smartphones that can browse the internet. I see shops selling smartphones that are able to support WhatsApp, which is a very, very big step in the evolution of the economy, the evolution of country, the fact that someone in Butiana has access to Twitter and can see the latest updates or the latest news on what is happening in Kampala, it's quite a very, very beneficial thing, and it's quite something that is going to help them improve their livelihoods and also improve the rate at which they evolve. So when it comes to functionality in general, we are blessed that we have functional phones, that Techno can make a phone of 150,000 and it can perform most of the functions of a normal user. Now the question comes in is the durability.
Exactly.
The durability. Functionally, this phone can perform as good as, not maybe as good, but it can perform to a certain expectation. That is to say, you can use it on WhatsApp, you can use it on Twitter, you can use it on TikTok, and you can use it to browse the internet for anything you want. However, when it comes to durability, let's say the years that you're going to be able to use this phone, yes, most of these brands, especially as the cost goes down, the durability also goes down.
Okay. The cheaper the phone,
the cheaper the phone, the shorter the period you will be able to use it. So when it comes to these expensive or premium brands, are built to last maybe 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
5 or 6 years, I'm talking years in which they get software updates. And even after those 5 or 6 years of getting software updates, the phone can still function normally. It can carry out the basic functions of internet, of social media. Yes. So when it comes to functionality, just to summarize it, we are blessed to have very cheap phones be able to browse the internet. We are blessed to have very cheap phones be able to grant access to social media to anyone in different parts of the world. Yeah, so functionally, the market has evolved to be able to provide that and fulfill that need. But when it comes, the question comes in on which brand to select when it comes to durability.
Okay.
Durability, and then as a phone, which is something that fits into the pocket, it becomes part of you. And when it becomes part of you, it becomes part of the status that you're associated to. So that is when the premium brands come in. You see, when I see with an iPhone, I won't think about you the same way as when I see with an itel or a Huawei. Yeah, so the premium brands come in when it comes to status, because this is something you move with. This is something you use to carry out your daily tasks. As also a news presenter, this is something that you can carry to the field.
Definitely.
To the field and catch a few clips, record a few things here and there. So premium brands come in when it comes to status, but when it comes to performance, the cheap brands can also do it. Yeah, so functionally, we are blessed that the market is well saturated with brands that can perform basic internet functions. However, when it comes to middle class, we are also, that is when you consider the premium brands.
Premium, yeah.
Yeah. So for a person who is starting out on their first smartphone, or for a person who has maybe just finished their Form 4, or for a person who maybe wants to send their mom a phone back in the village so that they can communicate on WhatsApp, I recommend the available brands because they're really, really good. Yeah, but when it comes to a person who wants to elevate their status in society, when it comes to a person who wants to have the best that they can have, when it comes to a person who is very, very mindful of how people see them, then I recommend iPhone because it's the most popular brand in the world right now, and it's associated to very, very high status.
However, this has also led to the spread of misinformation and propaganda, which has had serious implications for the country's political stability. Smartphones have also changed the way Ugandans consume media. With the rise of streaming services like Netflix, YouTube, many people now have access to a wide range of entertainment content. This has had an impact on the local film and music industries, which are now facing stiff competition from international content providers. The increased use of smartphones has also had an impact on the public health in Uganda. Mobile apps have been developed to help people manage chronic diseases like diabetes and hypertension, while telemedicine services have enabled people in remote areas have access to medical advice and treatment. Smartphones have also had an impact on transportation of Uganda's ride-hailing services like Uber and SafeBorder, and have made it easier and safer for people to get around, while Google Maps and other navigation apps have made it easy to navigate the country's notorious bad roads. The increased use of smartphones has also had an impact on the environment in Uganda. E-waste from discarded phones and other electronic devices has become a growing problem, as many of these devices are not properly recycled or disposed of. One of the more concerning impacts of smartphones in Uganda is the rise of cybercrime, scams and other online frauds, and are becoming increasingly common, with many people falling victims to these schemes. They have also had impact on relationships and social interactions in Uganda. While these phones have made it easier to stay connected with friends and family, they have also been blamed for causing a breakdown in face-to-face communication and social skills.
Mr. Stanley, give us the current statistics in Uganda regarding a smartphone usage. What is that brand that is most used, and what is the least used smartphone brand?
The most used and least used smartphone brand. I have very good news for iPhone users and very bad news for Samsung users. Yeah, so according to the recent report by UCC, the most used iPhone brands are the most used smartphone brands are Infinix, Itel, Tecno, Camon. So those four brands combined form 63% of the total smartphone usage. So 63% of smartphone users in the whole country, more than half, use these brands. Now, surprisingly, or however much you see these Apple phones on the market, they are the least used phones, with a percentage of 6%, according to the latest report from UCC. And then Samsung comes in the middle there with about 14% of the smartphone usage. So just to summarize it, Itel, Camon, the transition brands from the biggest percent, that is 63%. So as an iPhone user, you should be lucky out there that you're among the 6% of the population that is using the most premium brand in the market. And then for Android users, it's 14%, about half or more than half of the smartphone users.
Smartphones have had a significant impact to Uganda, changing the way people interact with each other, conduct business, access information, and consume media. While the benefits of these are clear, there are also potential risks and challenges that must be addressed as Uganda continues to develop and modernize. And that's it for Smart Tech this week. I'm Andrew Barije, but don't forget on our social media handles to follow us at Smart24TV. That's on Twitter, Smart24TV Official on Facebook, and Smart24TV Live on YouTube, as you will be able to catch us live at whatever part of the country. You will be at channel 372 DSTV and channel 394 GOTV. Follow me on my Twitter handle at Andrew Barije 94. Shall be having a discussion. What is that tech trend that you really wish we should really have a conversation regarding about? Till next week, goodbye.